everybody. I'm so sorry. We are having some really major problems with Webinar Jam. However, it is working on YouTube. You can see me live on YouTube. And so what we're going to do is we're going to keep on filming this. And I'm going to send you the copy of it out. I'm sorry that it's not live, but I'm doing my best. So let me talk to you a little bit about myself. I am Fawn Arnold from Belt Like a Pro, if you don't know me already. And I am a belter. And I get most of my jobs because I can belt really high. And I am a working performing singer. I also decided to start teaching at about 10 years ago when I decided to give back what was given to me. I have to start a little bit, tell you a little bit about myself because it's part of this webinar. I want to talk to you about balance. And balance means singing a lot of head voice. If you are a belter, if you're a rock singer, if you're a pop singer, if you are a musical singer, it's very, very important to have a very strong head voice. So let me talk to you. I'm so excited. Yay! So let me talk to you about this. This is really important. When I first started singing, like seriously, I always wanted to be a musical performer. And so I started working in regional theater at a very, very young age. That means I didn't have a clue what I was doing with my vocal cords. So I just was winging it. And the little theater that I worked at was called Backdoor Theater in Wichita Falls. So hello, shooting out a high out there for any of you people from Backdoor Theater that are watching. And what happened is that we would perform in this little theater without a microphone. And my first really big role there was the narrator in Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I think I was 15 or 14 even. I was pretty young. And this part is really high. And so I was singing with basically a rock band behind me. It is a rock opera. And I was singing basically with this rock band behind me. And I was belting incorrectly, and I would lose my voice. And nobody could really tell me at that time what I was doing wrong and what I needed to do in order to correct that. I was told that I wasn't allowed to talk during the day. I was told that I couldn't sing, I had to shut up, and I hated that. I was a cheerleader. I didn't want to have to, not be able to talk, not be able to say hi, not be able to be Miss Popular. And so I had a really hard time with that. It was also summertime, so I wanted to go swimming. I wanted to be in the sun. That was also forbidden because it dries out the vocal cords, blah, blah, blah. So I was really freaked out. So it was a really, really scary thing every night to do those shows. I was so glad when that show ended. And at that time, I decided, okay, I don't want to sing anymore because I can't do it. I have no talent, is what I thought, because my voice was shot. And so I'm going to dance. And so I started dancing. And I went to the University of North Texas as a dance major. There were some weird things that happened to me. I don't know if people believe in fate or not, but one thing that happened to me is like right before I was supposed to start dancing at the University of North Texas, I got in a really bad car wreck. And a drunk driver hit me head on. He didn't have his lights on, so I didn't see him coming. It was 5 cars. 2 people died. I was the first car involved. And thank God he didn't hit me head on, but sort of slightly, and I swirled out of the way. And the other cars crashed into each other. Otherwise, I probably would have been dead. I did not have my seatbelt on. And I was driving like this with my leg up, and I was driving like this. And the whole dashboard like went into my leg. So like the first semester at the University of North Texas, I couldn't even dance. So, but they let me have credit with writing stuff, and I had to be there, I was there on my crutches. And I had, physical therapy and all of this stuff. So that was like almost this first sign that maybe I should not dance. Maybe I should do something else. I don't know why. I didn't hear it. Of course, I was upset at the drunk driver guy, and he didn't have a driver's license. It had already been revoked because he'd already been driving drunk and all of this stuff. It was just really, really horrible for me. And I just bought a new little car, used car for school, and it was totaled. Of course, because I have a very poor family and I didn't have a lot of money at that time, I only had I didn't have the full coverage on my car, so I bought a little junked up car for $300 so that I could get to University of North Texas and back to Wichita Falls if I needed to, or drive around Denton. Anyway, so I went to school, I was dancing, and I actually did not finish college. Another sign that maybe I shouldn't have been dancing. I got a job offer to go to California and start dancing in a jazz dance company there. And of course I said, I'm not gonna go to school, I can't afford it, my parents are poor, I don't have any money, I'm scraping to get by working 2 jobs, and I've got a job offer. So why should I finish school if I've already got this job offer? Really wrong mistake, but I was young, I was like 19 years old, and so I went to California. And the way it is there, another thing that kind of wasn't going in my direction and working for me as a dancer, actually I wasn't a dancer, I was a teacher. So what they had us do was travel from school to school, or from summer dance school to summer dance camp workshop, and we would teach kids, and then at the end of the workshop we could perform. But it wasn't like a real creative dance jazz company. I was basically a teacher that could perform at the end of the workshops. So while I was in California though, I got casted in a girl group. This was like in the 90s. That's back when like the Spice Girls were in and stuff like that. So I got casted there to go in a girl group as a dancer slash singer, but I was supposed to do the choreography for the group, and I was supposed to sing a little bit. I might have maybe 2 or 3 solo songs, but my main thing would be the dancing. So we would be the dancing, I would be, you know, the lead dancer, and the girls would be in the background. We'd do all that cool stuff. So that's what I did. And so I went to Europe with that group, and we were all casted together. We hated each other because we didn't pick each other out. We found out that we were all being paid different, and our manager was kind of weird. And then one day, after we'd been on tour, we were open for some pretty big groups in Europe, like DJ Bobo or Dr. Alban or Captain Hollywood. You guys probably don't even know who that is over there in America, but in Europe they were pretty big, and we would be like the warm-up group. On Rage, we would perform before on Rage and stuff. So yeah, it was a pretty cool tour. I learned a lot. Of course I wasn't singing a lot, so I had no problems with my voice. I didn't have to do anything demanding vocally. It was just basically dancing. So that was basically on the weekends that I would do that. And during the week in Germany, I was taking master ballet classes at a little school in Hamburg called the Stage School, where they taught professional master classes at night after the school kids had gone home. So like it was an academy. And I was having like these major problems doing my jumps and stuff because I had like some pain in my heel. And so I decided to go to the doctor. The ballet teacher there told me to go to a doctor there, and I went. And he couldn't find anything in my heel, and so he started, he x-rayed my back, and he found that I had my back was broken. And he said it was called a stress break, and that comes from, what do you think? Dancing. I have to say, I am a person though that always powers through stuff. I just plow through stuff. I'm not somebody that can work with really fine with their hands. I'm just really impatient. I just take I just plow through, which is wrong. I need to learn to not be the elephant in the china shop, breaking all the glass. So I decided, I was really devastated. He told me, it could be that you can dance another 5 years. It could be that you can dance another 15 years. But it can also be that you dance 5 minutes and it breaks completely because it was just a fracture. And then you're going to end up in a wheelchair. So I was like, geez, okay, what do I do? At that time, I was also taking voice lessons with a great teacher in Hamburg, Kay Montgomery. Shout out to her if she's on tonight. And she was doing Carlotta and Phantom of the Opera there, and she taught privately, and I had some voice lessons with her just, to keep my voice in shape because I didn't want it to happen again that I lost my voice. And so I went to my voice lesson that week that I found out, and I was like devastated and crying. And she asked me what was wrong, and I said, well, I broke my back. I can't dance anymore. And she said, well, then you'll just sing. And so that's how it started. And she didn't feel sorry for me at all. She just said, you will sing, and you're going to sing now. So that's the way it was. And so that's how I started singing. And she taught me, it took me about 14 weeks. And I have to say, she was really on my side. She gave me a great price for taking like a lot of lessons. And she got me really ready. And I must say that I practiced every day because I had no money. I'm also supporting my family with my income as a singer and as a teacher, and they were kind of dependent on me too. So it was just really a big problem that I wasn't working. And so within 14 weeks, she got me up and going again to where I could audition as a singer. And I'm going to shut off my Skype right now. And I could audition as a singer, and it would just, everything would be, yeah. And I got a job, actually. I landed a job in Hamburg there, so I could stay in Hamburg with my voice teacher. And it was just as a little role in cabaret, and because I didn't speak German that well, because I'd only been there for 9 months. So I was just kind of like a Kit Kat girl, had some light dancing, but nothing. It was more like a mover. It was singers, they wanted strong singers that were movers. And I got a swing position, which meant I could, because I had all that dancing background, I was able to, you know, do the positions pretty quickly and learn the, you know, the different parts on either side of the stage and everything. So they really liked me as a swing. And I got basically hired by them to like be in the theater company. And I worked for them for like 6 years. Learned German there. It was a great theater to learn German in because they didn't speak any English in the theater. They were all very proud to speak German, and they were very proud that people, when are listening to a German piece on stage, that they understand, that they can understand me. And so I worked really hard on my German, which was great. And I was singing, and it just went boom, boom, boom after that. So all of these problems that I was having as a dancer, car wreck, can't dance, still gonna do it, plow through, go on, okay, forget college, it's too expensive. Plow on through to the first job that comes in, do those dance workshops, plow on through, go on leave that too, and don't even finish that, and move on to Europe and go and plow through and do the girl group thing. All of that stuff was just literally broke my back. It was too much of a load. I wasn't doing what I really loved. I just knew that I wanted to be on stage. I was afraid to sing because I didn't know the right way. And I literally, it took like God striking me with lightning twice, you know, and so to get the message, sing, just sing. And it was that simple. And I did, and it worked. But I worked my booty off every day for 14 weeks in order to get a well-rounded voice, okay? So that's my story and why I'm passionate about teaching healthy singing, and why I'm also passionate about this Belt Like a Pro online program, because I really think that people need to do this boot camp, because it forces you over 14 weeks to get on it almost every day. I make you practice 5 days out of the 7 days. So a week, so that you really get the muscles that you need in order to belt. Now, me being a dancer, that's not difficult, because as a dancer, you practice 5 hours a day, you know? So that was a big deal for me to practice like 45 minutes of singing a day, big deal. You know what I mean? That was like heaven. And I actually felt like, God, singing is so much easier than dancing. And I get paid more as a singer than I do as a dancer. Bless you dancers' hearts, you work your butt off, you should be paid way more than the singers. But yeah, that's just the way it is. And so I got better paying jobs. I got recognized. It was so easy for me to stay on top of my voice and everything and work. So pretty fast, I started getting jobs as a belter. So let me talk about the other thing, fawn belting through, fawn plowing through, right? So what I did is, when I got my job as a belter, I started practicing just belt things, because I thought it was important for me to keep my belting up. My voice teacher, Kay, had already moved to London, And then after that, she moved back to the States, so I couldn't really practice with her anymore, and I couldn't find another teacher. I felt like all the other teachers didn't know what she knew, and when the stuff that they were teaching me, like almost I already knew, or I was like going, no, what you're saying isn't right, you know. And because I belt in my head voice, and a lot of the teachers were trying to get me to belt in my chest voice because they didn't know better, and I knew better, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to work with my little cassette tapes that I recorded from my sessions with Kay, with my voice teacher, and not go to anybody else. So I just started kind of practicing myself, and I quit using the cassettes of Kay, and I started just warming myself up on the piano and practicing my belt because I had to belt that night in the show. Then all of a sudden I kind of started noticing that my belt wasn't as high anymore. It started going, you know, getting lower and getting lower and getting lower. Didn't matter. I would just kept plowing through. I got a job on a ship where I was a dance captain and the main soloist. There were other girls on the ship with me, but I was the only one that like sang solos. And so I was way overworked because of course during the daytime I'm going 5, 6, 7, 8, practicing with the dancers. And then at night I'm trying to sing my songs and my belt's getting lower and lower and lower, and I didn't know what was wrong. I lost my voice completely. It was gone. And again, I sat there thinking, damn, this is the same stuff that happened to me back when I was 14. My voice is gone. So I went to the doctor in Santo Domingo. We were in the Caribbean. And the doctor looked in my throat. Literally, he had to sterilize his instruments with fire. And he looked down my throat and he said, oh, you're getting ready to get bumps. You'll get bumps on your vocal cords. You'll get bumps on your vocal cords. It's time for you to stop singing and stuff. So he gave me 14 days of vocal rest, and that meant I could not talk, I could not sing, and I couldn't even hear music, because he told me that when I hear music, my vocal cords start automatically vibrating with the song. So I couldn't even hear music. I ran around the boat with that ship with my little pad and asked questions like that and answered like that. It was horrible, 14 weeks, but it left. And so I wrote a fax to Kay, and Kay said, well, are you practicing your head voice? What? No, I'm practicing my belting. And she was like, you practice your head voice. That's the whole problem. So that's why this Beltinar is about the head voice. Because as a belter, as a rock singer, if you're a metal singer, if you are a pop singer, if you are a musical singer, it is the most important thing that you have to practice is your head voice. I'm going to give you also a cool down at the end of this Beltinar, because at the end of the show, after you've been belting and using the part of your vocal cords, the fattest part of your vocal cords, then you need to start using the skinny part at the end and stretch it all out. And let me explain that to you. First of all, the first point I have on my little bulletin thing here is the anatomy of the vocal cords. So let me tell you, if you're looking down onto your vocal cords, so this is the vocal cords right here. If you're looking down on them and you're singing in your chest voice, the whole part of the vocal cords resonates, okay? It's clear. The bigger instrument produces the deeper sound. Okay, so what actually the vocal cords do is they use the complete surface to resonate so that you can sing low, fat, heavy notes. So as you go up the scale into the head voice or into the middle register, your vocal cords start closing together and not moving completely apart like that. They stay closed, and only the outer part of the vocal cords are vibrating. Yeah, so it takes muscles to keep those vocal cords tight together like that. Of course, if you have a node, they won't close automatically, and then they'll overwork to try to close over that node, and that's what gives problems or vocal bleeding. So what you have to do is you have to keep your voice so flexible that only that small part can vibrate for the head voice. And if you don't do that, if you don't practice your head voice, that can't happen. And then what's happening is as you move up the scale, as you sing low, everything's fine. You start moving up the scale, that part of your vocal cords doesn't resonate because it doesn't know how. It's like trying to learn how to do the splits. You have to go down a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more every day. And once you have it down, you have to do it once or twice a week so that you can keep that flexibility. And it's the same with the vocal cords. Okay, now I'm going to explain a little bit more to you about the breadth of the vocal cords too, so that you know how that works with the anatomy of the vocal cords. But first of all, I just want to talk to you because I'm a big breath support thing. I'm going to say this all the time. I want everybody to use a lot of breath support when they sing. And we've talked about this before, that breathing loudly through your nose inflates your stomach. You can feel the diaphragm here pressing the organs down into your stomach, which makes you feel like you have a fat stomach, or it makes you feel like you're breathing into your stomach, but you're not. Those are all of your organs, like your intestines and everything. They're being pushed down into your stomach, and that's what makes you have a fat stomach. And then you keep breathing past that, and then it goes up into the lungs. So you feel your lungs going up and out, and that position is what you need to hold while you're singing, okay? So when you're belting, there's another muscle that you need to work, the zip muscle, but I'm not even gonna get into that. I'm just talking about this part here, the flankens. That's a German word, I love that word, flankens, that you're gonna go up and out. So when you do that, actually the air pressure that's going on your vocal cords, if you're looking at the vocal cords from the side, your air hits the vocal cords. That's what makes them resonate. And of course, it takes the note into your mouth, so it goes out into the room, right? So also when you're going up, your Adam's apple has to go up a little bit too, the higher you sing. Now we don't want it to go up too high, but it has to go up a little bit high too, which means that the vocal box has to kind of do that. So if you're blowing too much, it's not going to be able to do that. And that's exactly what happens. The vocal cords get the message of what size they should be through your hearing, and also through the amount of air that's hitting them. So in the lower register, when everything should be moving really big and fat, you have more air on it in order to get the whole thing to move. As you move up, it's a little bit less air, or it's compressed air. And then when you move into the head voice register, it's very, very light air, okay? Because we want the voice box to be able to do that. And we want the vocal cords to be able to close completely, and just the outer area, the outer part is going to be resonating. And so if you're blowing your air like crazy on it, then that's not going to happen, okay? Because they're going to be thinking, oh, I need to be fat. So what you need to do in the head voice is you need to make sure that you breathe in all the way, and as you sing, you're going to let the air out slowly, and you're going to watch how your flankens and everything fall down a little bit. Okay, so when I'm singing in a stronger voice in the middle register, that's not going to happen. Let me demonstrate. The air is different, so it makes that head voice sound chestier. It's actually the middle register, but I don't believe in that. I believe in one whole voice and not separate voices. So, but that area for me is head voice, but I have a different air. Now let me demonstrate my head voice sound by changing my air. I'm letting the flankens fall. Okay? Let's do it again. So that the flankens are a little bit more flexible, okay? So also what you need to do is change the position of the larynx. So tell me your name right now. Just put your hand on your larynx right now and say, hi, I'm Fawn Arnold, and welcome to my studio in Stuttgart, Germany, and hope to see you soon. So you can feel that when you say things that your larynx is in the middle, okay? So that larynx needs to go to the back when you're singing in a really pure head voice, so that you don't really feel it that much. By the guys, you're going to feel it, but the girls, you're not going to feel it. It's going to go away. Okay, so let's just practice that. I want you to just do a real hooty ooh. Okay. Let your flankets fall. Okay, guys, you could have started at an octave lower. Yeah, so the guys are going to be an octave lower of everything that I'm doing. Okay, so when you do that, you feel really how the larynx goes to the back. If you feel your larynx, it's wrong. And if it feels as, for the guys, if it feels as present as it does as when you're speaking in your head, in your normal speaking voice, it's wrong. It needs to go to the back. Okay, the second thing that has to happen, it's all about that space, yeah? When you are in the head voice, because you have reduced the air, when I'm singing a belt, I have a very compressed air, and that's all my muscles here, and you have to train those muscles in order to get that to happen. But when I'm singing in my head voice, I have to release that, and those muscles are more soft, okay? But what's hard, or what's tight, is the roof of your mouth. Okay, do you see that back there? That thing that hangs down, I think it's called the uvula or something. Yeah? Yeah, so that thing has to go up, and the skin back there around the uvula, if you feel it, is really tight. So it's really soft, and you want to make it tight. You want to make it like the skin of a drum. And this takes practice because it's muscles, and muscles that haven't been used a lot are going to need to be tightened and trained. Okay, so in order to do that, I want you to put lots of fat air in your mouth. Do you feel that in the back, how it already starting to tighten up on the top? Now this isn't tight, it's just on the top, on the very back. Yeah, so look at this. When I don't tighten it up, you can see my uvula. And now you don't, okay? Okay, so in order to practice that, put that big fat air in your mouth. And I want you to just go pop, 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 pop. I want you to have a very hooty sound. A lot of these exercises are going to sound really classical for you, but that's the best way to train your head voice, and best way to increase your range is also to do more classical things. Okay, so I want you to do some pops with me right now. Girls are starting here, guys are down here. Okay, here we go. Please remember to breathe loudly through your nose, and then you'll feel that air come in. But you let it go, okay? Breathe through your nose. Okay, so now we're getting up really high. That's when we reduce the air even more. Your flankets are still going to be falling, but you're not going to have that feeling that you're blowing air out. It's kind of in the back there, swirling around. And what I want you to do is I want you to think that your upper jaw is moving away from your lower jaw, because that's going to tighten up those muscles in the back even more. Okay? Okay, and I don't want you to do that. We don't need any extra movement here because the vocal cords are in a very skinny position, and any extra movement is going to jiggle them out of their jar. So you're just going to keep it very, very relaxed. But you're going to have the feeling that your upper jaw's moving up. I don't even know if that's physically possible, but it's just the idea of getting that back area tight as a drum. Okay, let's go. Okay, I want you to also think that the note is getting tinier back there. It's not going, it's not really big, it's really tiny. Yeah, what's making it sound big is the room. Okay, because we have to try to make the vocal cords get even skinnier up there so that we can go higher. Okay, so that's very, very important. This room. What I also do, let me see if I can find it real fast. Oh, yeah, here it is. I have one of these little balls that I do this with my students, and I act like they should bite into it. Yeah? So they're going, boop, 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 boop. So that they're activating that. But don't do teeth. Yeah? Let's try it. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Okay? So also what the big cheeks do, they keep you from tightening this up. So if you're doing this exercise, make sure that you keep those cheeks fat. Make them fat and then try to tense this muscle up. It's like really impossible. And so that's great. So it's teaching your voice to go up high without tensing this up. Okay? So that's the main thing is the breath, that you're letting the breath go a little bit. And you're making a big room back there, a big arch in the back. Your uvula is going up. The skin is tight as a drum. And you're letting the sound be really tiny in the back. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Okay? Good. So that's a way to start doing that. So let's talk about increasing your range. That's the next point on here. So if you have problems with your head voice, I want you to talk to you about whisper tones. Okay, this is the whisper tones. I do this all the time in order to increase my range. So what you're going to do is you're going to do a rolling R. Yeah, and when the note gets too high, I want you to think about whispering instead of singing. I'll demonstrate. It's good, feels good. Feels good. I'm starting to feel like I have to grab the note. So the next time, I'm not going to sing the note, I'm going to whisper it. Coming back from that last note, I hit the high C on the way back down, because the vocal cords are doing what they're supposed to be doing, but they're not strong enough to resonate completely. So if you think I'm letting go, I'm just going to let the vocal cords be as skinny as they need to be, because you hear the note when you're whispering it. I'm going to go into the microphone so that you can hear it a little bit better. Okay, I hope that you heard that whisper, because you can still, you're not just completely letting go of the vocal cords, you are being able to hold it in its position, but you're not putting any pressure on it to make it sound big and fat, okay? So you're just going, and usually on the way back down, they're already good, and it sounds. So you can work like up to 4 octaves with these whisper tones. You can also do it on the way down into the lower register with something else that I call vocal fry, but that's not part of this Beltinar right now, okay? So that's how you increase your range. You can do it with lip trills. So always the higher note is going to just be a whisper note. Okay? That's going to increase your range. The next part, okay, so here we go. Once your head voice is really, really good, you can make that head voice sound chestier, sound poppier, sound more in the style of a pop and rock song by changing the placement, okay, and making the note really, really tiny, but more to the front than to the back. So by all of the other things, we were making that uvula go up, making it go up, yeah. So what we're gonna do is gonna make the room small. So I want you to put your teeth together and make sure that your tongue is fat. Feel right here and push your tongue down against this. That's what you don't want to do. So when you're singing classical, you do that a little bit. Yeah. But when you are singing high like that, but you don't want it to sound classical, then you're going to have to keep that up. Okay, so in order to practice that, we're just going to do some doggy whines. You're going to feel a little bit of it going down, but just a tiny, tiny bit, okay? Okay? It's just really, really tiny. That's how tiny the song is, the note is. So what we're also doing is as we go up, we're going to make that resonating area in the back that's so big and makes it sound classical, ooh, that hooty sound, we're going to close it a little bit with the tongue. Now, in my belting course, there is a whole chapter dedicated just to the tongue, because your tongue muscles have to be completely relaxed, and you have to be able to isolate little muscles when you need them in order to kind of make that area in the back close off so that your head voice doesn't sound like head voice, it sounds like chest voice. Okay? So I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to sing it one time in head voice with the back of my throat open, which you can see, and then I'm going to change it. The position of the tongue is going to get fat. I'm going to actually lift the back of the tongue up a little bit to change that. Okay? Let's try it. Okay, here I go. First in the normal head voice with the released flankens. Open in the back. Okay, here I go. I'm not going to release the flankens, and I'm going to put my tongue up in the back. Okay, do you hear the difference? I'm not belting because I haven't activated that special belt muscle, which is also a whole chapter that you have to work on for 14 days straight every day in order to get it fat so that you can belt. I'll show you how that, because I belt in my head voice, I will now belt that using the special belt muscles, okay? Here it goes one time. I'm going to do classic. I'm going to do with the tongue up in the back and the tight flankens, and then I'm going to do the belt, okay? The belt. Okay, so the tongue is even up higher in the back, and of course here is a lot more tight. Okay, so but you can't do that belt if you don't have that head voice, because it isn't head voice. You're never going to be able to belt that high if you don't have a good head voice. So let's move up a little bit higher. My top note is an F. Okay, over. Okay, here we go. Classic. I just changed the position. Air is really relaxed. Room is in the back. My uvula is up. Now we're going to do it in the with the tongue up in the back and with the tight flankens. Tiny, tiny, tiny. Yeah. Yeah, I could belt that too. But there would be no way that I could belt that. That is a G sharp, before, like right below high C. And I'm belting that because I'm in head voice and I've got these really heavy duty muscles trained like crazy. Okay. But like I said, if you don't have the first step, which is the vocal cords that go into the head voice position because they're flexible and there are, and that can get tiny, then it's not going to work. Okay, so you really have to practice your head voice in order to hit those high belting money notes. Then you're just changing your placement and of course adding these big heavy belt muscles, which you have to train on a daily basis in order to get them. Okay, I hope that that really helps you with some head voice stuff. And that was then high. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you about your vocal cool down. This is what I'm going to give you as a freebie, is this vocal cool down. Listen, if you like my stuff, then go over to my homepage at www.beltlikeapro.com and sign up. When you sign up, you can either sign up to get a free vocal warm-up. You can also get my free belt basics. I have a 4-part video on the 4 belt basics that you have to have. And also you'll be automatically signed up to my newsletter, and every 14 days I send out a new video with tips because people write me and I answer questions. And so you're going to get a lot of free material if you go over there and sign up. And also if you want to, you can do my belt course. It's 14 weeks long though, and it's like a booty camp. And so you have to stay on it and you have to make sure that you have time to do it every day for 14 weeks. But I have a 100% money back guarantee because I know that if you do that and you really work on it, it's going to work. So check it out. I would love for you guys to do the course, and I would love for you to do my newsletter and get free information and find out when my next Beltinars are and everything. So yeah, here we go with the vocal cool down. So this is what I do. When I did Dance of the Vampire, I actually got chosen personally by Roman Polanski. I had to send him a video and I sang a song, and I got cast by him to do Magda in his European smash hit Dance of the Vampire. And he was my director, and actually was my director the year that he won the Oscar for that show, that movie. I think it was called The Piano Player or something. It was about a piano player in the ghettos in Warsaw, and the Warsaw ghettos. So it was really awesome. So it was a great year to work with him, and I learned so much. But that part required me to belt at high E 3 times a night, and I played 8 shows a week. So it was really difficult. I had to be on my toes, and I was belting constantly. Plus I was having to be the vampire. Yeah, I do all of this stuff. It was really strenuous for the whole vocal body. So what I started doing was I started doing a vocal cool down. So after I belted out of that show, first of all, I did stuff to really relax my neck muscles. I did this and this, and I yawned. You gotta do a lot of yawning because the larynx is to the front the whole time pretty much when you're belting, except for those really high head voicey things where the larynx is in the back, because we're actually in head voice. But most of the time it's up high and either to the front or up high to the back. So you need to relax that by pushing it down and back, which you do when you're yawning. Yeah. So that's what I do. Like when I'm after the show, I'm taking a shower. I'm like, my tongue's going to the back. Everything's really relaxed. So then I'm going to keep doing that, and I'm going to do some really quiet oohs. I'm going to start relatively low. This is middle C, and I'm just going to go. Guys, if you want to do that, you're going to have to be in falsetto, even though it's low. Start low. But you know you're in falsetto if your larynx is to the back and you can't feel it. And you've got that feeling that you're yawning. I'm not even worried about sound. I'm just trying to get all of that to the back. I'm not pushing. It's very quiet and very clear. Then I'm going to do some sirens. I'll change it to an E. So the whole time I'm really trying to keep this hooty sound because that means that my larynx is to the back. Okay? I can't feel my larynx. I can feel some vibration, but I can't feel it present in the front. Is when the larynx to the front. Okay? Okay? Yeah. So then I might even go ahead and do some whisper notes, but I'm not going to go up very high because your voice is already very, very tired. I'm just going to make sure I do some head voicey stuff to cool down. And then you're going to be like, I'm starting at F above middle C, so I'm not really that high. Making sure the larynx is in the back. But I'm going into that whisper tone way, way early. Yeah, so that's it. That's what I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I wanted to give this to you. It's so important that in order to have a healthy voice, you really have to have a healthy head voice. And I'm so sorry, like I said, that this wasn't live. If you have a question to the head voice, send me an email. That's probably the best thing to do. The email address is fawn, F-A-W-N, @beltlikeapro.com. Send me an email and I will get back to you about your question, and I will answer you as best as I can. I really hope that I helped you, and I'm so glad that you could make it to see me today, and talk to you again soon. Until then, happy belting, stay healthy, stay safe, take care of your vocal cords, practice head voice, okay? It doesn't have to be for hours a day. Practice it, 5 minutes. That's enough, but do it daily. Okay? Okay, see you then. Bye.
That's where we'll meet by the river so sweet.